It talks to you every morning. That quiet voice before your feet hit the floor, the one that says you are not ready, not smart enough, not the kind of man who wins. You have heard it before the meeting, before the message you never sent, before the moment you let slip away, while someone braver stepped in. Here is the strange part. That voice is not weakness. It is not broken wiring. It is a signal. And one man, standing on a beach with nothing left, discovered exactly how to read it. What he did next became a code that turned ordinary men into forces that could not be moved. And by the end of this, you will hold that same code. But it did not begin with wisdom. It began with a shipwreck. Picture a merchant, rich, respected, a man who measured his worth in cargo and coin. His name was Zeno, and he was sailing a fortune in purple dye across the Mediterranean, the most expensive substance in the ancient world. This one voyage was supposed to secure his name for life. The storm took everything. The ship broke apart. The dye sank. The money vanished into black water, and Zeno washed ashore near Athens with nothing. No title, no plan, no identity. Everything that told him who he was, gone in a single night. Think about that. Every man builds a story about himself out of what he owns and what he does. His job, his bank account, the respect in other people's eyes. Now imagine all of it stripped away in hours. That is not just losing money. That is losing the answer to the question, who am I? And this is the moment self-doubt feeds on. Not failure itself, but the silence after failure when the old story is dead and no new one has taken its place. Zeno sat in that silence, broke, anonymous, a stranger in a foreign city. Most men never leave that beach. They stay there their whole lives, replaying the storm, letting the voice narrate their ruin over and over. But Zeno did something different. He stood up, walked into the city, and wandered into a bookshop. And what he read there stopped his breath, because it pointed at the one thing that could save him, the one thing the storm could never touch. What he read was a story about Socrates, a man who stayed calm while the world condemned him to death, a man untouched by things that destroy ordinary people. And Zeno turned to the bookseller and asked a question that would change philosophy forever. Where can I find a man like this? The bookseller pointed to a philosopher walking past the door. Go, follow him. And Zeno, the ruined merchant, the man with nothing, did exactly that. He gave up chasing wealth and began chasing something no storm could sink. He later said the words that every man who has hit rock bottom needs to hear. I made a prosperous voyage when I was shipwrecked. Read that again. The disaster was the doorway. The loss was the beginning. But understanding why, that is where it gets dangerous, because Zeno discovered that the voice of self-doubt is built on a lie so deep that almost no one ever sees it. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Here is the lie. We believe that things happen to us and make us feel a certain way. The storm made him worthless. The failure made him afraid. The rejection made him small. It feels obvious. It feels true. It is the way every human being thinks by default. And it is completely wrong. Zeno noticed something that the sharpest minds of his time had missed. Between what happens to you and how you feel about it, there is a gap, a tiny, invisible space. In that space, something happens, a judgment, a silent verdict your mind delivers before you even notice. The storm sank the ship. That is an event. Cold, neutral, factual. But I am nothing without that fortune. That is a judgment. And the judgment, not the storm, is what creates the suffering. Stop and feel how this lands in your own life. You did not get the job. That is the event. But the voice that says you never get what you want, you are behind everyone your age, you missed your shot, that is the judgment. The morning you did not want to get up, the weight on your chest was not the day itself. It was the story you told about the day before it even started. The message you were afraid to send was just words on a screen. The fear came from the verdict you passed on yourself, that you would be rejected, that you would look foolish, that the worst thing they could think of you was true. This is the trap. You are not reacting to your life. You are reacting to your judgments about your life. And most men live their entire existence never knowing the difference. They fight the storm when the real battle is the voice narrating it. But Zeno did not stop at seeing the gap, because seeing it is not enough. Anyone can be told this and nod and forget it by lunch. He needed a method. a repeatable code he could run the instant self-doubt appeared, and that code had 3 steps. Here is where everything changes. Step 1. Catch the impression. The ancient Stoics had a word for the first raw hit of a thought, the impression. It is the instant flash. You are not good enough. The moment it arrives, most people do one of 2 things. They believe it completely and collapse, or they fight it, argue with it, wrestle it, which only feeds it. Zeno taught a third way. You simply notice it. You say silently, an impression has appeared. You become the man watching the voice instead of the man drowning in it. This single act, this half second of separation, breaks the spell. Because the moment you can observe a thought, you are no longer trapped inside it. And modern science caught up to this exactly. Psychologists call it cognitive diffusion, the act of stepping back from a thought and seeing it as a mental event rather than reality. Brain imaging shows that the simple act of naming an emotion, putting it into words, calms the fear centers of the brain. Zeno had no scanner. He had a shipwreck, and he arrived at the same truth 2,300 years early. Step 2. Withhold your assent. This is the heart of the entire code, and it is the part almost no one understands. The Stoics believed a thought has no power over you until you agree with it, until you nod. The impression arrives, you are going to fail. That is not up to you. It just appears. But then comes the decisive moment. Do you sign the contract? Do you stamp it as true? Zeno realized this was the one thing in the universe fully within his control. Not the storm, not the ship, not what people thought of him. Only this, the yes or the no. The voice can say anything it wants. You are the one who decides whether it gets to be true. Imagine that power. The self-doubt still speaks. But now you stand at the door as the guard, and every thought must get past you to enter. Most men leave the door wide open. Zeno learned to keep his hand on it, but there was still a problem. Saying no to a lie leaves an empty space, and an empty space fills right back up with fear. So he added the final step. Step 3. Replace it with what is true and useful, not fake positivity, not lie to yourself. Zeno had no patience for pretending. Instead, you ask a ruthless question. What is actually within my control right now? And what is the next right action? The impression says you will fail. You withhold your agreement, and then you replace it. I cannot control the outcome. I can control whether I show up prepared, so I prepare. The doubt does not disappear because you argued it into submission. It dissolves because you turn toward action, and action is the one thing self-doubt cannot survive. Now return to the beach. Return to the ruined man staring at the wreckage of his life. This is the code that lifted him up. The storm was the impression. I am nothing. Without my fortune was the judgment he refused to sign. And what is in my control now became a new life, a new school, a philosophy that would outlast empires. He did not conquer self-doubt by feeling stronger. He conquered it by seeing clearly. And you can run this tonight. Here is how. When the voice comes, and it will come, do not fight it and do not obey it. First, name it. Say, an impression has appeared that I am not enough. Feel the half-inch of space that opens. Second, refuse to sign. Say, I have not agreed to this. It is a thought, not a verdict. Third, ask the question that ends the spiral. What is in my control right now? Then do that one small thing. Send the message. Stand up. Take the single next step. That is the whole code. Catch it, refuse it, replace it with action. Do it once, and you will feel the voice lose an inch of ground. Do it for 30 days, and you will become a different kind of man, the kind the storm cannot sink. So here is the truth Zeno paid a fortune to learn. Self-doubt is not the storm. It is the story you tell about the storm. And that story was always yours to rewrite. You were never at the mercy of the voice. You were only asleep at the door. Tomorrow morning, the voice will speak before your feet hit the floor. Now you know exactly what to do. Catch it, refuse it, replace it, and walk anyway. If this reached something in you, stay close, because the next lesson from these ancient men goes even deeper. Subscribe and let us keep building the mind they died to leave behind.